What is up, everybody? How is everybody doing today? Welcome back to another Clash mini video on the channel. Tier list has arrived for the mid-season balance patch, and we're going to break it down for you right now. Starting it off here, we have the D tier. We have the hero of the Shield Maiden. Unfortunately, the Shield Maiden just is not there right now in the current meta. There's a lot of monks right now. There's a lot of barbarian kings and skeleton kings that just completely hard counter the Shield Maiden, and that is why she is just in the D tier. P.E.K.K.A, unfortunately, it's just not tanky enough. It does a lot of damage, but with the ice wizards everywhere, it just takes forever and a day to get off the swing, and it just doesn't pick up enough value for 4 elixir. Valkyrie is our next mini up here in the D tier. Valkyrie, unfortunately, just is not in a good spot. It just takes forever to ramp up to get her damage onto the field, and it just doesn't really do that much. You don't really want to use her over a mini P.E.K.K.A or anything like that for the damage, and the mini P.E.K.K.A just got recently nerfed as well, and it kind of just isn't that great. Not that many people play 2 to 3 tanks in the front lines right next to each other, and that is why the Valkyrie just does not get value. Next up, we have the C tier. Here, it's going to be the Archer Queen in the C tier. Yes, she just got some buffs, but unfortunately, with the Archer and the Barbarian King combo being so prevalent inside of Clash Mini, the Archer Queen just struggles. That is why she is going to be in the C tier. We have the minis now. We have the Dark Goblin. Unfortunately, it just isn't in the meta, potentially because of the archers that are everywhere right now, with the Barbarians just really hurting this Dark Goblin from really popping off. Next up, we have the Witch. The Witch is a decent mini, but unfortunately, she still isn't there. The 1 HP health increase was okay for her, but it really didn't do anything for her. She still gets taken out too fast and doesn't get enough value onto the field. Swordsman is our next mini up here. Swordsman, with the extra energy cost for his super, it just gets outclassed by a lot of other 2 cost minis. The only mini, I guess you can say, that's 2 cost that's worse than the Swordsman would be the Guard. Wizard is our next mini up here. Unfortunately, the Wizard just doesn't fit really into any decks right now. The Barbarian King 2 elixir deck that it strived earlier on in Clash Mini, it just is no longer there because the archers are so prevalent, and there's just so many more minis that are better, that do more work. It will never be able to win in the Barb King versus Barb King matchup if you don't get the value with the entire wizard, and you can't really afford to upgrade the wizard early because you have to upgrade the archer. That's why the wizard just doesn't really fit in any deck. Fisherman is our next mini up. Yes, it just got an HP increase. It still isn't there. It's very good with the Clash ability if you connect, but if you do not connect, it's almost useless. That's why it's going to be in the C tier. In competitive play, I would put it in the B tier, or maybe even in the A tier for a little shake and bake, a little bit of a win there. But in the AC tier here, because normally 9 times out of 10 you do not want to play the Fisherman. Lumberjack is going to be our next mini up into the C tier here. Lumberjack is okay. It's decent. It just doesn't get enough value for 3 elixir. They did just kind of rework it a little bit. I think it's still, I think you might need to give it a 1 more HP for it to be decent. But even then, I don't know if it'll be completely worth it. Potentially, though, it definitely needs 1 more HP, at least in this next balance change. Musketeer is going to be our next mini up here in the C tier. Musketeer really only pairs very, very well with Archer Queen. I don't think the Musketeer really needs a buff or a nerf. I think she's in an okay spot. I think that the decks just do not allow her to really pop off right now. Mini P.E.K.K.A is our next mini up in the C tier here. Unfortunately, with the Dissipate nerf to the Mini P.E.K.K.A, the Mini P.E.K.K.A is really struggling to get value. With the Mega Knights also taking a big hit here, there isn't another big beefy boy in the front lines to dissipate down. Most of the time, you're either going to dissipate down a giant skeleton or a golden giant, which, yes, it's okay, but it really doesn't give you that much value at all. I mean, the golden giants want to get dissipated because they're just there for a meat shield. Next mini up here is going to be the Guard. The Guard is going to be probably, in my opinion, the worst 2-cost mini. It's still decent. It still gets decent value. I couldn't put it in the D tier, but it could be in the D tier. The Guard just, I mean, play the Knight over the guard right now until the guard gets a little bit of a buff. Next up, we have the B tier. Wave Master's in the B tier now after its recent buff. It's okay. It's still not there, but it definitely is usable. Not the greatest mini of all time now, but it is in the B tier. Battle Healer and Healing Ranger are also in the B tier. Potentially, the Healing Ranger could be in the A tier. It's kind of on the teeter scale. If the Archer, if the Barbarian and the Archer combination gets nerfed, which is hopefully going to get nerfed in the next balance change, the Healing Ranger will definitely be A tier. We have the Bowler as well here in the B tier. After the recent nerf to the Bowler, we are going to keep it into the B tier. Here it was teetering between A and B for a long time. Definitely was a solid A mini in the previous balances, but now it's definitely in the B tier because you do have to put it lower down. Giant Skeleton is going to be in the B tier as well. Very decent upgrade to the Giant Skeleton. It was like a buff nerf. It nerfed him before you upgraded him and then buffed him after the upgrade. For that fact alone, it just isn't going to put the Giant Skeleton higher up. I personally think it's a nerf to the Giant Skeleton because I think the Giant Skeleton without any upgrades is the best way to play Giant Skeleton. But it does do 6 damage now when you upgrade the bomb, but it's going to stay in the B tier here. Electro Wizard is in an interesting spot. The Archer's really holding it back. It potentially could have been in the C tier because of that, but it is a decently solid mini, especially with the stun locks with the Wave Master. But unfortunately, right now, in the current meta, it is in the B tier. The Prince, hit or miss mini. B tier if it, C tier if it misses, A tier if it hits, potentially even S tier if it hits a huge value target. But for that fact alone, it's 2 RNG. We're going to leave it into the B tier here. And then we have the Mega Knight dropping all the way down from the S to the B tier. It's still a usable mini, but it really isn't that amazing anymore. I would even like to see potentially it getting a 1 HP increase now or something to that effect, just to make it a little bit more tankier, because now it really barely even gets off the super, and when it does, it just does not get enough value. Knight is going to be in the B tier here. Really, it's only in one deck, and the only thing it's for is to soak Royal Champion shots. That's why it's going to be in the B tier here. We have the Miner as well. The Miner, if used correctly, is amazing. The Miner, if used poorly, is bad. The Miner, if you choose the wrong lane, is also not that great, but the Miner does get them to bunch up their minis, which is a lot of the times what you want them to do to get value with your other minis. So for that fact alone, the Miner is going to be in the B tier. In my opinion, it needs to have more of an identity. It got nerfed way too hard. I think you should give it back 0.5 hit speed per upgrade. I think that was just way too much to the Miner. I know everybody doesn't want the Miner. It's either you do that or you give it another HP to make it a little tankier. Then we have the Spear Goblin. The Spear Goblin, oh man, it's still decent. It's still good. It's still in the B tier. If you hit it, it's in the B tier. If you miss it, it's in the C tier, or D tier. So for that fact alone, just like all the other Clash minis, I like to keep them in the B tier. The Royal Ghost is absolutely useless. The only thing it's useful for is its Clash ability to make everything invisible, and for that, the ability alone puts it into the B tier. Next up, we have the A tier. We have a lot of heroes in the A tier. Skeleton King in the A tier. We have Monk in the A tier. We have Countess in the A tier and Royal Champion. Skeleton King got a little bit of a nerf with the Bowler getting nerfed, so that's why the deck no longer is super S tier. I'm going to put it down into the A tier. Monk, absolutely crazy. Everybody's probably saying in chat, Monkey in A tier. No way, no how. Watch the gameplay on this video right now and you will understand why the Monk is definitely in the A tier. Potentially could be close to the S tier. Countess is in the A tier as well. It's pretty good. Very strong in low levels as well. Definitely will get you value onto the A tier. We have a lot of decks with the Countess out on this channel. Definitely check them out if you're interested in playing the Countess. Royal Champion still in the A tier here. Maybe it could have been in the B tier. Probably should be in the B tier after the recent nerf, but it kind of still is hanging around, especially in lower trophies. That is why overall This is a double. This is a level 10 all the way throughout tier list. That's why I'm going to leave it in the A tier. It's still pretty good in the lower levels, and that's why the Royal Champion is definitely going to stay in the A tier. Minis for the A tier are going to be the Barbarian, Golden Giant, we have the Ice Wizard, and the Magic Archer. The Barbarian is only here for its 3rd star ability. The Clash ability really boosting up the Archer, which makes the Archer the best mini in the game, which is why the Barbarian's boost is definitely absolutely amazing and needed. Golden Giant as well. The Golden Giant is amazing, especially with all the stuns in the game. The first upgrade is pretty valuable, but sometimes you don't even need to upgrade it. It's just as a tanky boy. Then we have the Ice Wizard. The Ice Wizard with the slows. Do I need to say more? It pretty much makes the Countess unplayable. It makes the Barbarian King able to beat the Monk with the slows and gets you value when you get the slow off, which is why the Ice Wizard is going to be in the A tier. Magic Archer is going to be in the A tier as well. It's another carry mini. It's very, very strong with 2 to 3 stars, and it is a very, very strong amount of damage if you place it correctly. And for that fact alone, the Magic Archer has to be in the A tier because it does pump out the damage. Next up, we have the S tier, the best minis inside of Clash Mini. Barbarian King holds the crown as the only S tier hero right now inside of Clash Mini. The deck did not get nerfed yet. The Barbarian and Archer combination, the Barcher combination is just absolutely crazy, and then the Barbarian supers as well makes the Archer pretty much just as good as a level 10 hero. So you pretty much have 2 level 10 heroes in one deck, which is absolutely crazy. And then the mini, the best mini inside of Clash Mini is the Archer. Now the Archer alone is not the best mini inside of Clash Mini. The Archer is only super strong because of the Barbarian with the 3rd star ability. If you're able to upgrade your Archer up all the way, or should I say 2 stars, you are going to be able to get off 2 shots with that Barbarian's Clash ability, which means you are going to be able to do 4 damage to each of the enemy's backline minis. Even if they have tanks there, 4 damage off of a tank before it's even able to do anything is a lot of damage. And then once you get to the 3rd star of the Archer, once it takes down a mini, it boasts up and it does +1. That is why the Archer is the best mini inside of Clash Mini. But thank you guys so much for watching this YouTube video. I love each and every single one of you guys. I hope you guys are enjoying the content on the channel. Super excited to continue to pump out daily videos for you. But don't forget to like, subscribe, like the video, comment on the video, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take it easy, everybody.